All right, this part of the class we're going to be working with the Apache web server. It should already be installed in the lab. If you needed to install it, DNF install HTTPD will install it. DNF is the new YUM. That would install it if it was not installed. One of the first things we're going to do, you notice I'm operating as root, so I don't have to worry about using sudo to remember to do elevated access. One of the first things we're going to do is look at the Apache config file, httpd.conf in etc httpd conf directory. And a couple of things we want to look at in here. One, if you were to set up a web server, you need to know where to put the web files. And for Apache, you can find that in the httpd.conf. It's called the document root. And two, if for some reason you wanted to change what it's listening on, meaning which IP addresses, if you have more than IP addresses, you can change that. So we're going to look for document root. That said server root. Server root's where the config files and stuff go. Here's the listen directive. We notice here there's this line that's commented out that has a specific IP address, port 80, and then we have here where it says just listen port 80. With this line, it's going to listen on any interface that exists on the system. If we were to limit it to a specific IP address, it would only listen on that specific IP address. So that was the listen directive. We also want to find the document root. Because that tells us where we need to put our files. And here is the document root section. So we need to put our files in var www.html. So that's the first thing we want to look up to learn those things about our system. Next step, if we look at the lab sheet, it's going to say try to connect to your web server by IP using the browser. So we'll put in the IP address of the server, see what happens. It wasn't able to connect, so let's practice a little troubleshooting and go back to the system and find Wireshark. Oh, there it is. Start Wireshark. And then go try to connect again. Try to connect again and go look at what we're seeing. And what we're seeing is we're sending a SYN and we're getting a reset back, which hopefully you remember from our knowledge of TCP. When that happens, it's most likely that the port is not listening. So let's check to see if the service is running. Again, I'm running as root, so I don't need to put sudo. But if you're not operating as root, if you're still a student, you need to use sudo. So we'll check the status, and it is inactive. So we need to start the service. Do that with system control start HTTPD. I have no idea why that took so long. Definitely should not have taken so long. But now when we try to connect with HTTP, it should work. So that worked. That brought us up with the test page, and it actually tells us on our test page where we should put content. So it told us what the document root was, var www.html, and it also told us, you know, kind of where the Apache files go. So that's the first part of the basics of HTTPD. We do want to put something custom in our index, so when it comes up, we don't see the welcome page. So I'm just going to create a file in var www.html. I'm going to call it index.html. You should call it index.html because there are certain files that the web server will find by default, and index.html is one of them. And now I'm just going to put some text in there. for now. I'm kind of interested to make sure that the permissions are open enough that we can read it. So everybody has read on that. So now if I go back to my browser and refresh the page, I got my web page, Rich's web page. So that's the basics of setting up a web server. Make sure it's installed, start it, stick the content where the content needs to go. In this case, that's var www.html.